The Tokusatsu Big Three have made some absolutely fantastic shows in these past few years. Frankly, it's been a pretty good time to be a Tokusatsu fan. Shows, merchandise, everything's been really great. Especially in 2023. Gotchard has been uniting TCG fans and Tokusatsu fans with a back-to-basics, slow burn, heartfelt episodic treasure so far that's been a pretty fun show. Osama Sentai King Oger not only has a main team purple, but also brings pretty fresh things to the Sentai table. The return of mecha personalities with Kuwagon, Dr. Snips, and Quentin Tarantula have been absolute joys. Not to mention the great interpersonal dramas, exciting twists, a fucking 2-year time skip that absolutely yassified Jeremy Spiders, and, I don't know, a fucking Cure User crossover? Vamula, am I right? This year's Silver Giant has been an absolute boon to the new gen line of Ultraman, with a genuinely different tone than the past few years. There's a lack of Ultra Space, transformation monologues, and has made the show very hard to forget. Oh god. But when you think of old Tokusatsu, what do you think of? Maybe you think of Ultraman 80 with his round shape and absolutely banger theme song. Maybe Amazon. No, not those ones. With his unusual driver, the arm brace, and his absolutely iconic yell. Or maybe even Sun Vulcan, just because it's a super epic cool Sentai. That one was for you, Jay. But if somebody were to be specific and say like 20 years ago, you'd probably think of shows like this, with film grain, puppetry, and pretty aged dialogue. But 20 years ago was actually very different. Before Blazar, King Oger, Gotchard, before Ginga, Gokaiger, or Decade, there were 3 shows. 3 shows in 2004 that would not only be born, but change the game forever. In 2004, Ultraman was blessed with Nexus, a polarizing show that may be the most Ultra show to ever Ultra. Kamen Rider fans had their eyes open with thighs. A futuristic, for 2004, show about an aggressive power struggle between the current idea of humans, or as we know them, and their next evolutionary stage, the Orderfnop. And finally, Sentai was blessed, or maybe cursed, with Bakuryu Sentai Aba Ranger, a genuinely balls-to-the-wall show about dinosaurs. No, they're dinosaurs. And guts. It needs way more explaining. Regardless of the status of Aba Ranger, 2004 was a pretty incredible year for tokusatsu enjoyers, and while I was still learning what it meant to be alive, the Henshin hero genre was booming. Even outside of the big 3, Garo was just over the hill coming in 2005, and Deca Ranger as well. Some of the best things in tokusatsu came out during my terrible 2s, and what better place to start than the biggest one of 2004? No, like literally. Starting off this journey through the last 2 decades is probably the most polarizing piece of tokusatsu media I've ever absorbed, Ultraman Nexus. Ultraman Nexus is the 2004 installment into the Ultraman franchise, and a pretty fascinating one in terms of story, aesthetic, and even its production journey. And that's not even getting into him. Nexus as a show is well known for its darker tone, a running theme with a couple of these now 20-year-old entries. Everything from its first episode to its final moments are full of grim themes and pretty dark overtones. But it's in this medium of lightlessness that the show really shines. Plenty of moments shrouded in darkness and genuine uncertainty lend themselves to a more grand heroic return. Victories really feel earned in Nexus. Nexus is a show that featured several hosts for the titular Ultraman. While this seems relatively normal given the popularity of a certain Ultraman, Zero, the weight of knowing a host can or may even have to change at any moment is almost frightening. Fights become less rooting for your favorite hero and more praying they make it through the fight. Heaven knows I was never ready to say goodbye to Ren. All of this grim hero adventure energy is contrasted beautifully by gothic, geekeresque, and poignant villain work, with genuinely disturbing kaiju that are uneasy to look at and even minor psychological horror moments. Every move the villains have ever made in Nexus is pretty felt. From Komon's trauma with Riko, to Nagi's dealings with Mephisto and Mizuragi, it's all extremely well done and fascinating to watch play out. As a modern Ultraman enjoyer, Nexus left me with a feeling of uncertainty and a fear more for the main characters. 20 years having passed made spoilers impossible, especially given the show's popularity, but I almost felt as if this lent to the show's uncertain vibe. Not knowing if John would make it out left every Junus jump into the metafield an uneasy feeling of knowing he might not come back. The greatest thing Nexus has to offer is almost what it isn't. It isn't dark for the sake of being different or edgy. The shadow-stricken tones of the show are meant to teach, to convey that you've only really lost once you've given up. This was all done under the thumb of the studio. Super I at the time was financially strained, which is why Nexus seems so cut short. It is. Nexus went through development hell, originally being pitched as an Ultra movie with a way darker tone than it has now. However, because of the events of September 11, 2001, the project was shelved as the creators didn't feel it was the right time to release something so dark. Understandably so. This idea was eventually adapted, incredibly toned down mind you, into Ultraman the Next. Despite facing tragedy at every corner and every creative idea being met with misfortune, Nexus still came out a pretty fantastic show. It's an experience I think every Ultraman fan or even relative Tokusatsu enjoyer should experience. Now open your eyes, cause up next is Fies. If you've been following Kamen Rider for any length of time, Fies has probably come up. Like Nexus, Kamen Rider Fies is the 2004 entry into the Kamen Rider franchise and the fourth in the Heisei era. The show has themes of technological advancements, human idealism, and corporate deceit. Much like Nexus, this show features some darker themes, namely the Orphanok-human power struggle. Orphanok are the villains of the show, a species of humans who after death become beings of great power and honestly even greater aesthetic. However, this process is limited greatly. Not every human who dies can become an Orphanok. It's the Orphanok plan to strengthen their number by mercilessly killing humans until Orphanok emerge. This process creates a sired Orphanok. When a human dies outside of the influence of an Orphanok and is reborn, this is an original Orphanok. However, standing in the way of these plans, no matter how unintended, is the titular Kamen Rider Fies. Typically Inui Takumi, he moves against the Orphanok in the better interest of humanity. He is joined by the cunning, deceitful, and honestly really fucking hateful Masato Kusaka as his secondary, big air quotes there, Kamen Rider Kaiksa. While he has ulterior motives, he is focused on destroying on all of the Orphanok, even those who just want to help humanity, who are deemed traitors by the greater Orphanok people. These aforementioned traitors are the horse, Kibayuji, the crane, Yugo Osada, and the snake, Naoya Kaido, who wish to live as humans and coexist. The show is a fan favorite, full of exceptional designs, bouts of different ideals, and heated drama between men. And when I say heated, I mean like really, really heated. Kusaka and Takumi are constantly at each other's throats, with Takumi wrestling both his ideas of coexistence and the literal X-head punching him center mass. Kusaka's twisted motives leaving him more than willing to annihilate anyone in his way, except a specific one. While this tapestry of red, gold, and white is woven, even characters outside of the main group grow and change. Osada struggles with what she's become. The students of the mysterious Yusei school seek to uncover the truth of their reunion, and the actions of the Lucky Clover group, a four-member army of strong and unparalleled Orphanok, are chaotic at best and devastating at worst. Fies is one of those shows that really pulls you in. It's one of those shows where you hear a lot about it and pray it's not overhyped, only to find out it's not. It's a show about the cracks in human ideals and the dangers that lurk inside those cracks. A story of differences and honestly just outright hatred. Specifically, it's important to talk about the handling of the weight of fighting. Takumi is introduced as almost an unlucky opportunist. He happened to be there when Mari was being attacked by the Stinkfish Orphanok, and happened to be able to become Fies, something Mari mysteriously couldn't do, all because their similar bags got mixed up. Then continued to find himself in situations where becoming Fies was necessary, specifically against the Elephant Orphanok, who became a centaur-esque creature in an attempt to annihilate Mari and take the Fies gear, being felled by the first Crimson Smash of many, and also the Ox Orphanok, who, under the same plan, was blasted by the Fies shot and absolutely defeated. I've given some pretty harmless spoilers up to this point, but this is where some heavily plot-relevant stuff begins to really come up. I've really talked about nothing that you wouldn't hear generally when seeing people discuss Fies, but if you'd like to, I'll put a timestamp on screen where you can skip ahead to where I'm past the Fies section, because the rest of it is a lot of spoilers, admittedly. Takumi's sense of justice and belief in Mari's ideals gets her killed at the form of a former classmate turned Orphanok, Sawada. He is the Spider Orphanok, who's hell-bent on killing Mari in order to strip himself of his humanity and join the Lucky Clover. In order to revive her, the current extremely shady Smart Brain president jokingly implies that if Takumi became Orphanoch and joined the Lucky Clover, who are one member down to the death of the Crocodile Orphanoch, Jay, they would pool their technology to revive Mari. Upon his next encounter with Sawada, he mercilessly attacked him, as the Wolf Orphanoch. In previous encounters, it was revealed that the belts appearing in the show were meant to be used by the Orphanoch, which raised the question of how Takumi was able to transform so readily and easily. Well, now we know. He attacks and severely injures the currently attacking Sawada and delivers his distinctive weapon to the Rose Orphanoch, completing his end of the bargain and having Mari revived, except at a terrible cost. His secret is out now, and everyone around him is affected. As if Mari's death wasn't enough, Takumi leaves home in a search of somewhere he belongs. Keiichiro is grief-stricken. Desperate for stability, he's begging Takumi to return. Kusaka is angered by the loss of the only person he ever cared about, and in these moments, Takumi has returned the Fai's gear to Kusaka, deeming himself unworthy, and fighting the onslaught of the Lucky Clover as the monster he's deemed himself. He spends a couple of episodes reflecting on his action. In this period, he finds himself watching on as a revived Mari attempts to become Fai's to stop an incoming Orphanoch. Her failure moves him to once again don the belt, if only to save his friend, and becomes Fai's blaster, defeating his foe quickly before vanishing once again. After pleading from Keiichiro and Mari, he comes to the conclusion that he's the same person he was before. He joins an already once defeated Kusaka and Mihara, not very important, and takes up the mantle of Fai's again, resolved to fight as the Red Photon hero. In a lot of ways, the beauty of Fai's comes from the acting. While the conflicts of the show are frustratingly simple, the performances leave you almost feeling like they're justified. Specifically, the chemistry between the late Izumi Masayuki and Kento Honda is so palpable and believable. The way Kiba Yuji and Inui Takumi react is moving and powerful. The show's other characters are also painfully well acted. Dramas between Yuri Haga's Mari and Kohei Murakami's Kaikusa are aggravating in the best way. Everyone from the Orphanoch to the humans are handled pretty well, with a few, cameo-ish exceptions. The Lucky Four are a bit underdeveloped in my opinion. Hell, two of the side characters would go on to be fucking Dunamis and Nexus later in the year. It's incredible. Fai's is a glorious piece of media about overcoming difference, the cost of sticking to your ideals, and what it means to be human. As we know, in addition to Fai celebrating 20 years, Superhero Time is also celebrating 20 years, which is a beautiful mark and a now long-standing tradition. We all know Superhero Time, it's the favorite time of the week. However, those 20 years ago, Fai was not alone in the Superhero Time slot. There's another show with it, a show that you could say was explosive, and that show was... That's right, in 2004 we got hands down the most explosive Sentai since Dynaman, Aba Ranger. While this Sentai is absolutely fucking bonkers, it still opens at least with a typical Sentai A to B. A great evil invades with 3 generals, and our 3 heroes converge under some mystical guidance and end up putting up an end to their initial invasion, cementing their rivalry for the rest of the show, and so on and so on. However, that's just fucking episode 1. Everything after that is off the fucking rails. Earlier in the lesson, I vaguely mentioned that King Oger was a great return to form with the mecha personalities, and that's true, that's great. But I personally think that one of the best examples of mecha personalities and a whole secondary cast comes from Aba Ranger. The Bakuryu, or dinosaurs, spelled with a Y, are the partners of the Aba Rangers, and they're a group of explosive dinosaurs who evolved on Dino Earth. And if you're wondering what the fuck is Dino Earth, don't worry, I got you. We're gonna figure this out. For context, within the Aba Ranger world, the asteroid that hit Earth however many billion years ago actually split the primordial Earth into the Earth we know, where humans evolved alone, and Dino Earth, where dinosaurs continue to live and influence humans into beings called Saurians, as they evolved hand-in-hand with dinosaurs that were left on Dino Earth. And the aliens who are currently attacking another Earth, as it's referred to, had previously fucking nuked Dino Earth, erased all life off of it. These current evolutions of Dino Earth citizens, also known as dinosaurs, again, with a Y, are attacked by these aliens, brainwashed and then thrown to another Earth to rampage, cause havoc, so they can begin their plan to exterminate life on another Earth and colonize it, I think. Their plan's not the clearest. The rampage begins. The dinosaurs, against their will, are forced to destroy another Earth piece by piece. In their hearts, in their minds, they call out to the people of another Earth, praying for someone to hear. But the only people who hear are roughly 5, I think 6. It comes up later in the show. Now, if you're thinking, hey, Professor Lovekov, the Aberrangers start as a famous 3-man team. They became Dino Thunder, for crying out loud. There's only 3 of them. How could the Dino Guts of 5 people be reached when there's only 3 of them? We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. However, despite, through the aforementioned mystical means, meeting up with the refugee Saurian intent on stopping the rampage, their Dino Guts simply don't synchronize with the Dino Braces provided, and they get rejected. Suddenly, the 2 characters you're actually probably thinking of, Yukito and Renru, arrive in response to the calls of the Bakuryu calling for help. Upon donning the braces, they become Abare Blue and Abare Yellow respectively, and release Bakuryu Putera and Tudikera from their brainwashing. However, Tyranno is still on the fucking rampage. While a man desperately tries to get his niece out of danger under the threat of the Dino Rampage, he heard a gruff voice calling for help, and then when he goes back for a dog that's stuck in the chaos, he gets fucking whacked and sent to the hospital. What, did you think that this is going to be like a simple thing? Hell no, this is Aberranger. And not only does the doctor fix him up, but he comes up later too. Show's fucking wild. That man, Ryoga, runs out of the hospital on top of a nearby building, and after catching a perfectly thrown Dino Brace, he gets fucking Zyudenchi Gabi by Bakuryu Tyranno. Just like that, he's dead. The Aberrangers are actually a 2... Wait, no, never mind, he's fine. Wait a minute, he's not just fine, he's a Abare Red! And that's pretty much episode 1. We've introduced Asuka, the Saurian with an invincible spirit, the blooming power student Emmy, a bit eccentric but well-meaning, and a sweet old man with a dino soul named Sugishita. This in tandem with our current Rangers, Yukito, Renru, and now Ryoga. Man, I wonder if any more Rangers are going to show. Oh fuck, more dinosaurs! Over the course of the show, Asuka is on a mission to locate the dinosaur eggs that were lost on his way from Dino Earth. So, a side quest is stopping the invasion of a giant Hermaeus Mora hellbent on resurrecting, and also repairing the Dino Harmonica so that he may become Abare Black once again. Going forward, several dino eggs are discovered, and by extension, new explosive partners are found. There's Bakuryu Bakhiselonagurus. Yeah, that's the name. A feisty, sweet, and absolute baby Pachycephalosaurus. And Diminokudon, an easygoing but sharp Dimetrodon, Stegoslydon, a surfing Stegosaurus lacking in self-confidence and a place of belonging, Patasauriku, a Parasaurolophus who landed in the waters of the Juan Fernandez after being ejected from Dino Earth, coming back not only with an accent, but he can also play the piano. God, he's so talented. Ankylovalus, a prankster Ankylosaurus who loves to both be lazy and also help a whole lot. Styracosaurus, who's never spoken directly outside of roars, but is psychic and links directly to Abare Max. And finally, Spitfire! Yeah, fucking Top Galer. Top Galer doesn't give a shit. Actually, he cares like a lot about Abare Killer, but you know, he's fucking cool. Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I couldn't describe this show in detail if my life was on the line. This show is farther out there than whatever the fuck Todd Howard was smoking when he decided to not put fast travel or random encounters in fucking Starfield. If you showed Aberranger to a small Victorian child, they would die on the fucking spot. In all reality though, the show is probably 9.5 out of 10. It's super funny, but very heartfelt when it needed to be. I've never felt a mismatch in tone, except for that one episode, but we're not going to talk about that. Just a warning ahead of time, the show's got a lot of weird fucking shit in it, and I mean like genuinely really weird. So, if you're okay with that, I'd watch it. If not, I'd still probably watch it, but just be advised, it gets weird. It gets really weird. Alright class, what did we learn today? 20-year-old Tokusatsu fucking slaps. Top Galer is a peak partner. Also, watch Fies. Never get up, but also be ready to swing on those dark emotions at any time. Anyways, I hope you've been paying attention, because this is all going to be on the test in literally 4 seconds.